Tommy Longhorn. Approaching the Milky Way galaxy at a speed once thought to be impossible is a ship captained by an extraterrestrial being whose name is best translated into the English language as Tommy Longhorn. And a telescope manned by the highest-ranking squadron in the U.S. Space Force is aimed directly at it. It is the sighting these soldiers have waited their entire careers for: a real-life UFO. The telescope they are looking through is attached to a high-powered astro blaster created to shoot down any extraterrestrial threat to their nation of birth, the United States of America. However, the soldiers do not shoot, nor do they even flinch at the sight of the ship, for they are unable to see it for what it truly is. You see, Tommy Longhorn, the extraterrestrial captain of the ship, has turned the exterior camouflage setting to the on position. As a result, the soldiers see in the ship's place just a tiny speck of space dust, though that speck does not remain in their vision for long. "Rotate," commands the general, and so the soldiers angle their astro blaster a single degree to the right, a procedure that takes the entire squadron and several minutes to accomplish. And with that tiny movement, the speck of space dust that is, in actuality, an extraterrestrial ship nearly 3 square miles in size vanishes from sight. "Hoorah!" says the general. "Hoorah!" say the soldiers in unison, and together the squadron studies every inch of the new piece of space now visible to them for any potential threat to the United States of America, though all they see is space dust. Tommy Longhorn is a member of a universe-wide coalition of species known as the Confederation of the Cosmos. The Confederation has been in existence for billions of years. It consists of tens of billions of species from tens of billions of planets located throughout hundreds of millions of galaxies. The Confederation is constantly searching the universe for more species to add to this already large coalition, resulting in a never-ending exploration of the universe, of which Tommy Longhorn has become an integral part. He is a planet explorer. His duty is to travel to planets upon which intelligent life forms have been discovered and live among the species. He integrates with their society, observes their way of life, their culture, their beliefs, their actions. He enters into relationships with members of that species, eats their foods, worships their gods, reads their literature, observes their art, studies their architecture, learns their laws, practices their politics, plays their games, attends their schools, participates in their... He lives life as it is lived on the assigned planet, for that is the only way to truly understand a species. After completing his observations of said planet, he is tasked with the responsibility of recommending to the governmental board of the Confederation whether or not the studied species should receive an invitation to join the Confederation. And so it came to be that Tommy Longhorn, an extraterrestrial being, a member of the Confederation of the Cosmos, and a planet explorer, found himself on a ship disguised as a speck of space dust located many, many light years away from his home planet, bound for the Milky Way galaxy. More specifically, bound for the planet Earth. In his office, he prepares for arrival. This office is filled with hundreds of thousands of books written in thousands of languages from thousands of species from all across the universe, all of which he can read with ease despite being monolingual, thanks to his omnilingual lenses which, when turned to the proper setting, translate every written word in front of him to his native tongue of Clementine. Among the books, sitting randomly upon the shelves, are little knickknacks to remind him of home. A necklace his mother used to wear, an old uniform of his father's, some pictures drawn by his kids, and various figurines, among other things. Hanging on the wall across from his desk is a picture, a painting, and a piece of paper, all in matching frames. The picture shows Tommy, his wife, and his 4 children taken the day before his departure. Tommy is quite large, even for his species, standing at just under 10 feet and weighing just north of 800 pounds. He has thick, blubbery skin, like that of a hippopotamus. That skin is a bright purple, nearly luminous. He has 4 arms and 4 legs. He has 6 eyes, all of which blink entirely out of sync, with no 2 ever closing simultaneously, and with no obvious rhyme or reason to the order in which they blink. One eye may blink 4, 5, 6 times before another blinks at all. As for his wife, she is pale green. Her skin is anything but luminous. She is much shorter than Tommy, standing at roughly 7.5 feet and weighing roughly 500 pounds. As for their children, 1 son and 3 daughters, they are all varying shades of blue, some light, some dark, and stand at roughly 8 feet, give or take a couple of inches. To the left of this family portrait is the letter Tommy Longhorn and his mother received when he was a child, announcing the death of his father, who was, like Tommy is now a planet explorer. His father had completed 16 missions before the one that finally killed him. After all communication had been lost between the planet exploration group and his father, a team of galaxy defenders was sent to the planet his father was exploring, existing somewhere in the Andromeda galaxy. Upon investigation, the galaxy defenders discovered that his father's identity as an extraterrestrial being had been detected by the species of this foreign planet, and that he had been hanged in the square of the planet's capital. His body, which had already begun to rot, was still hanging in the square when the galaxy defenders discovered it, along with a sign upon which had been written words that were too gruesome to be copied in a letter. In the middle of the night, the galaxy defenders cut down his father's body, brought it to their ship, and flew it back to his home planet, where he was given a proper and honorable burial. The letter was signed by the highest-ranking members of the planet exploration group, along with small personal messages of grief and sorrow. And no, the species that killed his father did not receive an invitation to the Confederation of the Cosmos. Instead, they were placed on the list of species considered to be severe threats to the universe itself. They have been kept under close watch ever since. To the right of the family portrait is a painting of the entrance to the Planet Collective on the day it first opened to the public. Tommy has always been obsessed with the Planet Collective. He visited many times as a child and takes his own kids to visit every time he has the chance, his most recent visit being just 2 months ago. The Planet Collective is a scientific haven involving a synthetic solar system built around a sun long ago discovered to have an empty orbit. It was an idea thought up by a group of the Confederation's most prestigious scientists, where they bring in small groups of every species discovered in the known universe to live in the Planet Collective, allowing scientists from all over to perform all sorts of experiments with all sorts of species while never needing to leave this singular solar system. Over a span of multiple millennia, this collective of scientists, whose members are constantly changing as the generations come and go, have created thousands of planets of various sizes and distances from that once lonely sun. On each planet, they have constructed thousands of habitats that emulate those found throughout the universe. And as more species are discovered each day, the quicker the Planet Collective continues to expand. A synthetic planet is currently being constructed to emulate that of the planet Earth, upon which scientists hope to carry out experiments for billions of years to come. Experiments that can help the Confederation understand even more than they already do about life, evolution, and intelligence. But before any studies can take place in the Planet Collective involving the species of planet Earth, Tommy Longhorn must first complete his observation. And so, as he sits in his office in front of a picture, a painting, and a letter, he prepares for those observations by studying the 12,093-page portfolio prepared for him by the thousands of life inspectors who visited the planet Earth before it was decided that the planet, and more importantly its apex creatures, was finally ready for a planet explorer like Tommy Longhorn to conduct a more thorough exploration, evaluation, and recommendation. In this portfolio, hundreds of millions of years worth of research, observations, and experimentations have been summarized for Tommy Longhorn, including the geographical breakdown of the Earth, the chemical makeup of its atmosphere, the strength of its gravity, and so much more. But most important of all, the portfolio provides him with the information he needs to best understand the planet's apex creature, the species that he has been sent to the planet Earth to study, the species that will one day be added to the Planet Collective, the species he will soon live among. Human beings. The first 500 pages are filled with sketches of human beings, providing the chronological evolution of the species, physically and societally, over a duration of nearly 4 million years. The next 1,000 pages are filled with photographs, handwritten notes, laboratory experiments, X-ray scans, copies of memos sent to and received from the Planet Exploration Group, transcripts of conversations had with various human beings, letters written to the Planet Explorer eventually assigned to the planet Earth, and so much more. The final 8,000 pages discuss the over 4,000 human beings the final life inspector abducted during her final 783 visits to the planet, upon whom incredibly invasive experiments were conducted, externally and internally. As a result of these experiments, 3 crucial technologies were created to aid Tommy Longhorn in his observations of the planet. The first is a bodysuit that will allow him to camouflage himself as a human being with just the push of a button. The second is a speaking device that will translate any word spoken by Tommy Longhorn from his native tongue of Clementine into a language the human being he is talking to can understand. And the third is a hearing device that works in the exact opposite manner, translating their words into Clementine. For the only way Tommy Longhorn can understand what it is like to be a human being is to be a human being. Or at least to be as close to a human being as is scientifically possible for him to be. While still a few hours away from Earth, he puts the portfolio down and goes to the kitchen. He grabs a tray of food from the icebox and places it in a machine similar in appearance to that of a microwave on Earth. Only it does not have any buttons and certainly does not operate like a microwave. Once the door to the machine is closed, the food inside is scanned and the ideal temperature of each item is determined. After a few moments, the device dings gently, softly. He opens the door and grabs the tray and takes it to the table across the way and sits down to eat. On the tray is a thick piece of what looks like a T-bone steak, only the meat is dark gray and the fat is light yellow and the bone is neon green and the meat is not actually meat at all. Next to it is a pinkish blob of mashed up fruit topped with an incredibly thick blue gravy. Scattering the tray, taking up the spaces in between, is a medley of vegetables that look nearly identical to a peppermint swirl, though they are soft and crumble in the mouth. He does not use any silverware to eat this meal. He simply grabs the ice-cold T-bone steak-looking thing, tears off a small piece with ease, dips it into the smashed fruit and blue gravy, which is scalding hot, and stuffs it in his mouth. He then chases it down with a multicolored liquid so thick it almost needs to be chewed, which tastes nearly identical to a cup of dark roast coffee served with light cream and 2 packets of Splenda. Soon Pluto is passing him by. Then Neptune, then Uranus, then Saturn, then Jupiter, then Mars. An alarm begins to sound. Ding, 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 indicating the ship is approaching the atmosphere of Earth. Hearing this, he makes his way to the control panel at the front of the ship. With the push of a button, the yank of a pulley, and the sliding of a few fingers across the screen, he adjusts the exterior appearance of his ship, transforming it from a piece of space dust into a common flying species of Earth. As the ship, which now looks like a seagull, continues its descent, he slides his blubbery purple skin into an all-black bodysuit, first by putting his 4 legs into their proper slots, and then by doing the same with his 4 arms. After squeezing his large stomach into the suit, he slides the mask over his head and zips it around his neck. There is a small band wrapped around one of his wrists that looks almost like a wristwatch. He pushes a few buttons and scrolls until he finds the proper setting that allows him to transform his body into the shape of the Earth's most dominant species, human being. With the final push of a button, his body begins to transform, one part at a time. His 4 arms turn into 2, as do his legs. 4 of his eyes are swallowed into his face, while the remaining 2 slide into their new spots and shrink to the proper size. And as uncomfortable as it is for him, those 2 eyes begin to blink in perfect synchrony, providing him with, for the first time in his life, brief moments of temporary blindness. His 2 remaining arms recoil and shrink in math, as his 2 legs do the same. His head shrinks and deforms out of a perfect sphere. His neck loses flexibility. His purple blubbery skin becomes tan and hairy, rough and oily. And just like that, he is a human being, at least in appearance. As the ship lands on a little strip of beach located just a few miles away from the U.S. Space Force base, Tommy Longhorn, now very human in appearance, finishes his final chores. He takes some books and places them back on their proper shelves. He cleans the dishes, reseals some bags of food, takes a few vitamins, and tests the tightness of lids containing chemicals that are poisonous to the planet Earth and its species, yet chemicals he relies on for life. He double-checks every strap, ensures every machine is turned off, and locks every door and cabinet within the ship. Finished with his work, he says aloud, "My name is Tommy Longhorn. I am a planet explorer from the Confederation of the Cosmos. I am here to observe your apex species, which you call human beings." He speaks these words in his native tongue, but the mouthpiece translates them into the language of Portuguese, which sounds to him like complete gibberish, totally alien. He then takes the earpiece, puts it in his left ear, and repeats the phrase. "My name is Tommy Longhorn. I am a planet explorer from the Confederation of the Cosmos. I am here to observe your apex species, which you call human beings." This time, he hears the words in Clementine, perfectly translated back to him. Satisfied with the results, he exits the ship. If anyone had been observing, they would have seen a full-size human being exiting through the mouth of an open-beaked seagull. However, nobody is near enough to see it, for the nearest human beings are all circled around the telescope attached to an astroblaster aimed at the stars, allowing for the sight of a human being exiting the mouth of a seagull to go entirely unnoticed. Tommy Longhorn grabs the seagull and holds it in his human-looking hand. He lifts the seagull's left wing and pokes at its side, at a little keypad. After entering the proper combination, the seagull transforms into a green marble that Tommy places in his bodysuit pocket. which appears to the outside world like a pair of distressed denim jeans. All of this occurs seamlessly. The transformation of an alien ship into a little green marble, and an 800-pound extraterrestrial being into a 263-pound human being, and an all-black bodysuit into a graphic t-shirt and distressed jeans, because of a discovery made billions of years ago by a team of scientists in the field of relativity. The ship is still a ship. Tommy Longhorn is still an 800-pound extraterrestrial being, and the bodysuit is still a bodysuit, only they appear to be something else relative to the things around them. The technological advantages of this particular discovery can be seen all over the Confederation, where billions of beings the size of Tommy Longhorn live in booming cities the size of a single city block on the planet Earth. Houses appear on the outside to be the size of a single mint, but once inside, they are large enough to make the most elite human being green with envy. And the same goes for the rest of the buildings in their cities. The restaurants, the stores, the office buildings, the towers. The vehicles are all the size of an ant. The streets are just a few inches in width. Parks are the size of a single fallen leaf, and so on. But all of that is now tens of thousands of light years away as Tommy Longhorn walks the long, empty strip of an earthly beach located just a few miles away from the soldiers who continue to search the cosmos for something, anything, that may threaten their great nation. "Hoorah!" says the general. "Hoorah!" say the soldiers. Tommy Longhorn does not come across a single human being as he walks along the beach, though he does find a couple of crabs and some sand dollars and many piles of trash and some seaweed and several other species and items that are of no interest to him or the Confederation. So he enters the forest near the beach, where he finds bugs crawling through the dirt, squirrels sputtering through the trees, and birds flying through the sky overhead. And while he appears to the outside world as just another human, he is still very much an extraterrestrial being, one with tendencies and abilities never before seen in a human. So, as he walks deeper into the forest, it does not feel strange for him to get down on his hands and knees so that he can better sniff the ground as he crawls from location to location. It also feels entirely natural to drop his right ear to the ground and listen for several minutes to the sounds of the earth itself. He listens to vibrations miles away. He pinpoints the locations of roots beneath him, as well as crawling insects, and uses the information to map an escape from the forest. After determining that the exit of the forest is located quite a distance away, too far for his mind to yet see, he presses his palms, which are human only in appearance, into the mud. He lies flat on the ground. He breathes in slowly, then out even slower. The depth of his vision expands drastically, until he suddenly stands and sprints eastward through the forest. His sprint speed is not only quicker than any human being on the planet, but is quicker than any being on the planet. His strides are unnaturally long relative to the human body he presents to the world, so that it looks as if he is long jumping with each step that he takes. As he runs, he continues to gain speed, his strides growing longer with each step. He leaps over tree limbs, breaks apart herds of deer, chases away flocks of birds, skips over flowing rivers, climbs over mountains on all fours, and soars over little hills with arms a-flapping. He emerges from the forest, where he finds himself on the edge of a human city. And, as if he had just not been running at nearly 200 miles per hour, he comes to an immediate stop. He stands there for quite some time, in the place where the forest meets the city, looking out at hundreds of human beings, all of whom look just like him. Or rather, he looks like them. After a moment, he enters the city. At first, he studies not the people, but the city itself. He looks at the buildings. He presses his hands against them and feels their sturdiness. He studies the architectural choices, as well as the engineering. He does this for quite some time, walking from block to block, carefully studying all types of buildings, large and small. He finds an empty bench and sits and watches as the cars drive by, as the birds soar through the sky, as the lights turn from green to yellow to red. He inhales the scent of earth, holds it in his nose for as long as he can, then exhales the scent gently back to where it belongs. After a short while, he is up again, walking the streets of this earthly city, though now his eyes are no longer on the buildings. Instead, they are on the human beings. Over the next few years, Tommy Longhorn does everything possible to experience life as a human being would experience it. He frequently changes the settings of his bodysuit to present himself as all types of humans, young and old, male and female, fat and skinny, tall and short, white and brown, hairy and smooth, muscular and otherwise. He avoids none. He embraces all. He sits among the congregations at various churches, mosques, synagogues, and temples. He meets with religious leaders, reads sacred texts, and visits holy sites. He sits in classrooms of differing levels all around the world and studies humanity's understanding of mathematics, science, and written language. He attends music festivals and fireworks shows and soccer games and amusement parks. He visits the pyramids of Giza, the statues on Easter Island, the Great Wall of China, the Taj Mahal, and the concentration camps scattered around Eastern Europe. He reads their popular literature, attends the museums that contain their most famous artworks, and watches the movies they have deemed to be award-worthy. He visits large cities and small towns and desolate villages and shanty towns. He listens to political debates among all types of people, across all lands, but never interjects with his own beliefs. He learns about the internet and explores every aspect of it. He sits with the down and out and feasts with the elite. He studies the effects of humankind's presence on the earth itself. He takes dozens of human beings back to his ship, which he disguises as a human home, and engages in sexual relations for the benefit of scientific discovery. He celebrates their holidays. He visits their zoos. And at the end of each day, he removes the green marble from his pocket, sets it on the ground, and walks inside. He adjusts the settings on his wristband and transforms back to his natural self, all 10 feet of him. He removes the bodysuit and sets it back in the closet. He goes into his office and sits behind his desk. He looks up at the picture, the painting, and the letter. He remembers his mission, his goal, his reasons for being there. Then he opens his notebook and writes of his latest discoveries. And when he is done, he sends those daily notes to the Planet Exploration Group for storage. He continues these explorations for nearly a decade, exploring every inch of the planet, every country, every culture, every people. And then, on his final night on Earth, as he has done every night before it, he calls his wife using his telecommunication cube, though this time it is to tell her that he is finally coming home. As this gray, sleek box sends its signals to his wife's telecommunication cube, located tens of thousands of light years away, he sets it on the desk and preoccupies himself with various chores. He makes himself dinner. He cleans up the ship. He does some laundry. He reads a few pages from an Earth novel called The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and giggles at humanity's view of extraterrestrial life and society. After nearly 2 hours, there is a dinging sound indicating the connection has been made. He returns to his office and stands a few feet in front of the cube. It takes another minute or so for his wife to appear. When she does, a jet of green light shoots out of the cube, forming her shape above. All 7.5 feet of her squeezed into just a couple of inches. "My love," she says, "how is the planet Earth today?" "It is snowing outside," says Tommy in response. "But that is not why I have called you. My dear, I have some wonderful news." He explains to her that he will be leaving in the morning, that he is just one night's rest away from returning home to her and the kids. "I will be in your arms soon, my love, very soon," he says. "I'm going to buy you and the kids some final souvenirs. I cannot wait to see you. I cannot wait to see the kids. Send them my love, my dear. Tell them Daddy will see them soon." With the ship in his pocket, disguised again as a marble, Tommy Longhorn enters a grand shopping mall. One of those shopping malls with multiple stories. The type of mall that extends for multiple blocks and requires a bridge to move from one building to the next. The kind of mall with 2 food courts and several fine dining options. Not real fine dining, but the sort of dining that is fine when inside of a mall. The mall is filled to the brim with human beings shopping for last-minute gifts. Decorated trees can be seen in every window, along with cotton designed to mimic the snow outside. In the mall's center is an old-looking human being, male, with a long white beard. He is wearing a red suit and sits on a throne-like chair. A line of children wait their turn to sit on his lap. A tradition Tommy Longhorn has seen take place annually during his time on the planet Earth. A tradition he has even partaken in, as both bearded man and young child on lap. However, on this occasion, no longer looking to explore, wanting only to shop, he walks past the bearded man, past the line of kids, past the parents, past the photographer, and into the nearest store. He picks out a couple of items and takes them to the register. $354.21, says the cashier. Tommy takes a couple of rocks from his pocket and sets them down on the counter. Though thanks to the science of relativity, the rocks now look like the $354.21 he owes. The cashier grabs the rocks and feels no difference between them and the money he has seen and felt all his life. He puts the rocks in the register, grabs the receipt, places it in the bag, and hands it to Tommy. "Merry Christmas," he says. "Merry Christmas," Tommy says. The next store has a bunch of figurines, posters, framed photographs, games, and so on. Tommy picks a few games out for him and his family to play when he gets home. This time he pays for the items with some pocket lint. As he makes his way to the next store, he notices a few human beings running in his direction, and then dozens more. There is panic on each of their faces, tears streaming down their cheeks. The holiday cheer has suddenly been stripped from them all. Nobody says a word, yet everyone knows exactly what to do and where to go, like they have rehearsed this all before. The throne is now empty. The line is gone. The photographers have vanished. They have all become a blur, a mass of panicked runners, screamers, and sounds Tommy Longhorn does not recognize. Before he can determine what is happening, a bullet enters what appears to be his stomach, but is actually his heart. He drops to the floor. The presents for his family spill out of their bags. Purple blood flows from the bullet hole. From his pocket rolls a little green marble. It rolls, and it rolls, and it rolls, until a child running away from the shooter slips on the marble and falls to the ground. The shooter stands over the kid and shoots. The red blood of the child mixes with the purple blood of Tommy Longhorn. A few miles away, soldiers for the U.S. Space Force crowd around an astro blaster. They stare at an empty piece of space, and nothing more than space dust, searching for the next great threat to their great nation. "Hoorah!" says the general. "Hoorah!" say the soldiers. Every night for the next few weeks, Tommy Longhorn's son climbs to the roof of their home and studies the sky above the space station across town as he waits for his father to come home. Each time a spaceship approaches, he grabs his glasses, places them over his eyes, and adjusts the settings until he can see far enough in the distance for the words on the side of the ship to become clear and legible. And each time he is disappointed to discover that the ship approaching is not his father's. When the night grows dark, his mother climbs to the roof and sits next to her son. She holds him in her arms and says, "Your father will be home soon, my dear. I promise." And she is right. Her husband, his father, does arrive soon. Only when he arrives, he is no longer alive. Instead, when he returns to the planet he was born and raised on, the planet he met his wife and had kids of his own on, he arrives in a casket. His wife and kids are at the space station when his body arrives. Once they have gathered the body, the family goes straight from the space station to the ceremony where his life is celebrated and his death mourned. When they return home, his son makes a promise to his mother between tears. "I will never become a planet explorer," he says. But he is his father's son, so he will break that promise, just like his father broke the promise he once made to his mother after the passing of his father. The promise that he would never become a planet explorer, like his father before him, and his father before him, and his father before him, and his father before. It was a cycle they were destined to repeat. The Longhorns were born to explore the universe, no matter the dangers those explorations may entail. They were born to explore the cosmos. They were born to walk among the evilness of the universe in search of the good that is out there. For there is plenty of good out there, just waiting to be discovered.